Getting ready to take the Duster to its first car show in about 3 years. We've hardly touched the car since it was brought up here 2 years ago from Florida to Alabama. I'm just going over and polishing all the chrome, polishing the paint. Panning over here on the bumper. Got the bumper all polished up. This is F8 Code Forest Green Metallic paint. And this is the same paint job I put on this car when I was in college. I came home on my spring break and sanded it down and took all the chrome off. And painted it with Sherwin-Williams Sunfire acrylic enamel. And that was 1988. So this paint job it's wearing is 32 years old. And she looks a little tired up close, but I tell you what, she still presents well. Almost ashamed to destroy the patina. So coming over here. These are the original decals. That's why they're speckled. If you pan in on it, you can see how cracked they are. Those are the decals that left the factory with in July of 1973. Those are the buckets and interior it came with, although the buckets have been reupholstered. The rear seat has never been reupholstered. So for anybody watching me for the first time, this is a 73 Gold Duster. It was left the factory with a slanting 6 and about 25 years ago. I did a full conversion. I put a 360 V8 in it. I procured a factory K member. It's got the correct 1973 and up spool mounts on it. It's got a A998 or 999 automatic behind it, which was the 360, the 360 automatic that they put in the full-size Chryslers at the time. So it's got an extra set of frictions in the drums, and it's got a wider low reverse band, so it's probably approaching 727 strength for, and it doesn't sap as much power and it doesn't weigh as much. And for this little 3,000 pound car and probably 340 foot-pounds of torque, I don't think there's any danger of destroying this transmission. It's got factory air conditioning that still works. Panning in on the driver's side, you can see she's still fairly straight. The car's never had any major accidents or had any sheet metal replaced. And it's wearing 14 by 6-inch factory rallies. Not original to this car. It did wear the full-size UFO wheel covers that came with the Gold Duster in '73. And it's sporting 215 7014 Guardsman radials made by Radar Corporation. And these were made with segmented molds as opposed to the clamshell ones like a lot of the raised white letter tire guys use. So they're nice and round and true. They're just not name brand stuff. Performance Automotive Warehouse headers. Those were $99 specials nearly 30 years ago. 25 anyway. I think that's when I did it. And it said they fit a 1973 Duster or A-body, but really it should have said can be made to fit, because it was quite a bit of blacksmithing required to get those to fit in there like they do. But those flow so much better and sound so much better than the factory A-body manifolds. And it exits out dual exhaust with a pair of stainless steel glass packs. And the car's been in the family since it was about 9 months old. The story on it was we had just moved to Lakeland in 1974, and our '67 Chevy wagon had died. It had a cracked engine block. Dad sold it to a neighbor for $200 for removed. So we packed up everything we had and had a moving van show up, and we drove down to Lakeland, Florida from Knoxville, Tennessee in a '71 Chevy Vega. That was the only car we had. So new in town, he was looking for a set of wheels cheap. He was looking for something frugal. raising a family of 4. So there was an ad in the newspaper, and it was a secretary that had bought the car new and married somebody that was fairly wealthy. So this Duster was no longer good enough to be sitting in his driveway. So they put an ad in the paper, and it said, take over payments, it's yours. So no money down, nothing. So Dad showed up and he picked up a 9-month-old car for takeover payments. And I don't remember exactly what the payment was. I think the payment book might still be around somewhere, because you could do that back then. I think he was paying, I don't know, $120 a month for it or something like that. It was some ridiculous number, and he paid it off early. So I think the car's been paid off since like 1975, and it's been in the family, the Rutz family, the whole time. So it's kind of a driver survivor, although it's had a lot of pieces replaced on it over the years. The little slanting 6 is fine an engine as it was. I got tired of being passed by minivans on my Saturday night drives. So that's the story on the Duster, and hope to drive it to the Athens Town Square this evening for a car show. Hope to see you there. Some of the chrome on the car has become a little rusty. That air cleaner's probably been on the car for 25 years. I didn't have any 000 steel wool, and to get that rust off, what I did is I put a little bit of motor oil on the lid and let it sit there for about 20 minutes, soften it up, and then just taking some aluminum foil and polishing the rust off the chrome. And that's a pretty good low-cost way to revive some cheap rusted pitted chrome. Obviously it's not going to come back perfect, but it'll pop when it's sitting in the sun, and it won't have a lot of scratches on it like when you use steel wool that's too aggressive. Finishing up with a little Meguiar's Ultra Cut. It did a really nice job cleaning up the chrome without scratching it. Now it really pops when the sun hits it. Finishing up my oil change and lube before I go to the show. I had a couple of tie rod ends that I couldn't get to because of the headers and the torsion bars. So I'm just going to come in here with the wheels turned just right, and I'm going to grab that inner tie rod end and pump a little grease into it. The problem is when the car's sitting up on ramps, when you do an oil change, you can hit pretty much all the fittings except for the inner tie rod ends. You have to basically turn the steering wheel a few turns in each direction to expose each inner tie rod out from underneath the headers so you can get to it. And when it is like this, you can get underneath the car and grease it like this too, but if you've already cleaned up and you're kind of coming in the next day, you don't feel like crawling under the car, you can do it this way. And then I'm just going to give it a few pumps, and then it's got it. A quick look shows I had plenty of grease come out and balloon the seal just a little bit, so I know it's greased. The original chrome bumpers are starting to look a little neglected, so I'm going to get in here and polish them up before I go to the show. These mats have been with the car since we've had it from day one. I don't know if they're factory mats or not, but they sure have held up. I've literally been washing and waxing this car since I was about 10 years old. So that's over 40 years of washing and waxing. I've probably washed this car over 1,000 times. Thanks for stopping by. Hit like and subscribe.